Students, how are you? I hope you are fine. In previous session we have discussed about the muscular tissue. Now today we are going to discuss about the neural tissue or the nervous tissue. Okay, and after that we will also look after the morphology of the earthworm. Okay, so let's start with the nervous tissue. Okay, or the neural tissue. So we will give the heading nervous tissue. Now what exactly nervous tissue means? Okay, so nervous tissue are these specialized tissue which are responsible for conducting the electrical impulses, or they are responsible for carrying the signals from one part of the body to the another part of the body. Okay, and in the form of electrical as well as the chemical impulses or the chemical signals. Okay, so nervous tissue are highly specialized tissue for conduction of nerve impulse. Okay, so these are highly specialized tissue, right? Their main function is to transmit the signals from one part of the body to the another part of the body. Okay, now this tissue is of two types. This tissue is of two types. Now what are those types? Like, see, when we talk of the tissue, it is composed of cells. So it is made up of two cells, two types of cells. Okay, and which are those two types? First is the neuron and second is the glial cell. Okay, second is the glial cell. Okay, glial cell, they are also generally referred as the neuroglia. Okay, they are also referred as the neuroglia. Okay, we'll discuss about it when we'll after the structure of neuron. Okay, so what this neuron is, okay, what are their different structures, let's see. Okay, so first, that is the neuron. Okay, so I'll rub this and we'll start with the first one, that is the neuron. Now neuron is nothing but a structural and functional unit of the nervous system. Okay, as it is the cell which is responsible for conduction of the nerve impulses. Okay, so whenever we touch any kind of substance which is either very hot or very cold, okay, we get a sensitivity. Even though when we get any kind of wound, at that time there will be sensing of the pain. Okay, that sensing is nothing but a kind of activity of the nervous tissue, okay, or the nerve cells. That is, they are responsible for releasing certain signals. Okay, so which are interacting with the central nervous system and they affect on the particular activity. Okay, now here neurons. So generally, if we look after the structure of a neuron, okay, these neurons, they are having the branches or a branch like structure. Okay, branch like structures. And these branch like structures, they are having the certain assemblies, okay, or there is a formation of certain hair like or the supply of the dendrites. Okay, and they have a long body like this. So okay, so whatever electrical impulses are generated within the body. Okay, now why I am talking about electrical impulses? Because see, the messages, suppose I am pinching or I am pulling my hairs from this part, these signals will be transmitted throughout the body again. If I have been bitten by a kind of insect at my leg, I will sense those signals towards my brain. Why? Because this type of neuron, okay, or the neuron cells, these neuron cells or the nerve cells, what they are consisting of certain fibers. Okay, these are called dendritic fibers. These fibers are called dendrites. Okay, these are called the dendrites. And these dendrites, what they do, they receive the signals. Okay, so different signals they are receiving. Okay, so from different part of the body the signals are received. Okay, received by whom? This cell. This cell has the cyton. Okay, this part is called dendrite, this part is called cyton. That is the cell body. Okay, here it is the cytoplasm. Okay, cytoplasm, and within the cytoplasm small granules are present. These are called Nissl granules. Nissl granules. Now these Nissl granules, okay, they are nothing but a fragments of the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, you can write the part of ER, that is endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, now as they are part of endoplasmic reticulum, help in protein synthesis again. Now here there is a okay central body. The next, it consists of three main parts basically: dendrite, cyton or the cell body, and the axon. And the long structure, this structure is referred as the axon. Okay, now the axon, it consists of, okay, it consists of the myelin sheath, which is connected in such a way that it forms a depression in between this or in between this myelin sheath, and this place is referred as node of Ranvier. Okay, and this myelin sheath, okay, this myelin sheath, it is covered by a layer that is called the Schwann cells. That is called the Schwann cell. Okay, now here throughout the entire myelin sheath there will be presence of a Schwann cell, and this axon is also acting as a cell body, but here this internal material or internal membrane is referred as the exoplasm. So I will draw here myelin sheath again. Okay, so what we can differentiate easily. Okay, and at the end of this there will be appearance of certain knob like structures. These are also referred as the synoptic knob, okay, or the axonic end bulbs. Okay, axon and bulbs. Okay, now this structure is again myelin sheath. Okay, this structure is myelin sheath, and outer layer is called the Schwann cells. Okay, and internal part is referred as the exoplasm. Exoplasm. Okay, so these dendrites, the function of the dendrite, see this structure consists of the dendrite first part, then cyton, okay, and the axon. These are the main structural parts of the nerve cell. Okay, now here the function of the dendrite is to receive the various different types of chemical signals. Okay, that may be pain or happiness, any kind of signals will be received, and these signals they are transmitted to the central nervous system, okay, with the help of this nerve cell. Now here whatever signals they are carried, it will be again traveled here with the help of this synaptic knobs. They will again connect to another dendritic cell, okay, and through the dendritic cell from one to another, another to another. In this way they will transfer the signals towards the brain, that is the central nervous system, okay. So this is about the, yes, this is about the neuron, okay, and this is a structure, okay, this is a structure of, or we can write a structure figure, that is multipolar neuron. It is a figure of multipolar neuron, okay. So there are different types of neurons, that is on the basis of the exoplasm or on the basis of formation of the axon, okay. There are like we can write types, okay, that is on the basis types on the basis of the axon ends, okay. So it can be like axon end and the, what we can say, axon end and dendrites, that is position of dendrites, okay. So when we talk of the position of dendrites, it can be one, that is bipolar, then in bipolar there is a one axon and one dendrite, okay. Then another type of neuron is the multipolar. In multipolar, many dendrites are there. You can see many dendritic cells are there, right? And one axon is there. Many dendrites and one axon, okay. Then another category on the basis of the axon and the position of dendrites, it can be pseudo unipolar, okay. So pseudo unipolar in the sense it will be having a single kind of cell body which will having two different connections, one which is receiving the electrical signals and another which is giving outside the electrical signals, okay. So in this way this is called as a pseudo unipolar type of what we say neuron. And apart from this we have one more type, that is unipolar, okay. Unipolar in the sense only in one direction there will be formation of the axon, okay, and there will be yes, only axon will be there and neuron will dendrites will also form according with along with it, okay. So these are the types of neuron on the basis of axon ends and position of dendrite, okay. So this is what the neuron tissue is, okay. Now let's see the types of neuron on the basis of arrangement, okay. So you can pause the video and note down the points, okay. So now we are moving to the next point. Okay, so that is types of neuron on the basis of arrangement. Okay, so on the basis of arrangement, see, neurons can be yes, neurons can be of three types. Okay, neurons can be of three types. Now what are those? These are the sensory. First one is the sensory neuron. Second one is the motor neuron. And third one is the mixed type of neuron. See, we have three different types on the basis of arrangement. Okay, so like in our body there are different arrangements can be seen. Okay, and these different arrangements are like depending upon the what type of senses we get, right? So, suppose you are pricking a needle at the tip of your toe. Okay, what happens? There will be formation of a pain, and that pain will be sensed by the special type of neuron called sensory neuron. Now what happens after sensing that pain? So the pain which is been produced by sensory neurons will be taken towards the central nervous system, and the message will be confirmed to the central nervous system. Now the motor neurons, okay, the motor neurons, they help in the formation of reflex action. That means whenever sensory neuron transfer the any kind of signal towards the central nervous system, after the functioning of central or processing under the central nervous system, the central nervous system will release the electrical signals so that our body respond to that particular what we say stimuli. Okay, so that response is generated by the motor neuron, and mixed neuron is the combination of both sensory and motor. Okay, so let's see. So sensory neurons, they collect the stimulus they collect the stimulus from sense organ to the CNS. Now what is CNS? That is the central nervous system. Okay, then what are motor neurons? They collect the stimulus from central nervous system to the sense organ. Okay, it's simply when suppose your friend is pinching, or suppose he or she is slapping you, what you will do? You don't just sit like that. Okay, you will slap him or slap her. Okay, so that is a fast reflex action. ठीक है, कोई हमको अगर मारता है कुछ करता है तो हम चुप बैठते क्या, हम भी उसे लगा देते हैं. इसका मतलब क्या है? That is a reflex action. Okay, sensing pain and reflecting it back. So that is the collection of stimulus from the sense organ to the central nervous system, and then from central nervous system to the sense organ. Okay, in this way electrical signals are there. Okay, then next another type is the mixed one. Okay, so mixed neuron, it is the combination of both both side by side, side by side. Okay, so it is the combination of both side by side. Now this is about the again types of neuron on the basis of arrangement. Okay, so you can pause the video and note down these points. Now apart from this, one more type is there which we are supposed to add into the previous part. Okay, that is the neurons can be I'll write here. Okay, this is another point. The neurons can be myelinated or non-myelinated. Now what is meant by myelinated or non-myelinated? See, in the structure of neuron or the nervous tissue, we have discussed about the myelin sheath. Okay, if there is the presence of myelin sheath, so what happens? Suppose again I will draw a sketch here. Suppose this is the axon. Okay, and here is the presence of myelin sheath. This place is the node of Ranvier. Again this depression is the node of Ranvier. So what happens when the transfer of electron or transfer of impulses takes place? In the myelinated, okay, there will be jumping of what? Electrical impulses very rapidly. Okay, so this is the electrical impulse. So electrical impulse will be generated and it will be rapidly transferred from one position to the another position if there is a presence of myelin around it. Okay, and what happens in non-myelinated? See, in non-myelinated, axon is just parallel lines. They don't have the myelin sheath around it, so the transfer will be slow and continuous. Okay, so the transfer of the electrical impulse will be continuous and it will be slower. So we can also classify, or we can also classify the neurons as myelinated and non-myelinated. Okay, so these myelinated type of neurons, they are also referred as the saltatory. Okay, we'll discuss about it when we'll discuss about the neural tissue. The chapter is there. Okay, nervous control and coordination and chemical control and coordination. During that time we'll discuss about it in detail, and we'll also discuss about the generation and conduction of the nerve impulses, how they are generated, how they are being transferred. Okay, that we'll discuss in that chapter. So this is the information about the types of neurons on the basis of arrangement. Now we'll move to the another type of nervous tissue, that is the glial cell. So you can pause the video and note down these points. So next, that is the second type of nervous tissue is the glial cells. Now what exactly the glial cell is? So glial cell, that word has been derived from its property. It's like glue-like cells. Okay, so they are found in very close association with other cells. Okay, so what they are called? Glial cells. Okay, now the glial cells, they can be of following types. Okay, so number one, that is the microglia. Now what is the function of this microglia? This microglia type of neurons, okay, or the nervous tissue, they are phagocytic. Now what is phagocytic? See, as they are phagocytic, they engulf the foreign material, okay, and help in the defense mechanism of the body. The next, another type is Astroglia. Now what is astroglia? Astroglia is the name itself indicate. Astro means star. So they are star shaped glia or glial cells. Okay, they are star shaped glial cells. So as they are star shaped glial cells, the arms of the star shaped glial cell will help in the what we say association of various different cells along with it. The next that means it holds astroglia. It holds the blood vessels and neurons together. They hold blood vessel and neurons together. That is the function of astroglia. The next, apart from this, we have the oligodendroglia. Oligodendroglia. Okay, oligodendroglia. Now what is meant by oligodendroglia? Oligodendroglia are those which secretes myelin sheath. Okay, example Schwann cell. Okay, so this is the information about the nervous tissue. Okay, there is few more information about the nervous tissue that we are going to discuss in the neural control and coordination. Now we are going to move towards the next point here, that is the morphology of the earthworm. See, we are entering into the another part of this chapter that is very, very important part, that is about the morphology and the anatomy of the certain animals. Here we are going to discuss about the earthworm, then we are going to discuss about the cockroach, and then we are going to discuss about the frog. Okay, so here in the earthworm we will discuss about the morphology, that is the physical appearance of the earthworm. Okay, what types of parts are present on the body of the earthworm. Then we will going to discuss about the anatomy, that is the respiratory system, excretory system, circulatory system, nervous system. Okay, all these systems that we are, and digestive system. Okay, all these systems we are going to discuss in detail in the anatomy of the earthworm and other animals. Okay, so let's start with the morphology of the earthworm. Okay, or let's start with the earthworm first. Okay, so we know the earthworm, they are also referred as the friends of farmer. Okay, why they are referred as friends of farmer? Because they are responsible for depositing the humus within the soil. Okay, or humus is a type of soil which has been processed by the earthworm and which is rich in the which is rich in the many different types of micronutrient as well as macronutrient. Now the function of macro and micronutrient is to provide the fertility or to provide the immunity as well as to provide the nourishment to the developing plants. Okay, as well as for development of fruits, development of flowers, etc. Okay, so that is the function of that fertilizer, a type of natural fertilizer you can say. Okay, so which is processed by the earthworms. Okay, so let's see the some basic information about the earthworm. Okay, so earthworm. So earthworm, as they are friends of farmers, they are also been used in various different types, in vermicomposting basically. Okay, so vermicomposting is a type of method or a type of composting method in which we use is the earthworm, which can produce higher amount of humus and which can be used in the agriculture field for the production of high or the very good quality of food material, okay, or the crops. The next, earthworm. Here we are going to discuss about two main features of the earthworm, that is the morphology and second one is the anatomy. Now what is morphology? So morphology is the branch of biology that deals with the study of, okay, external characteristic features of a living organism. That can be the plant or that can be the animal. When it comes to the animal, it will be referred as animal morphology, and when it comes to the plant, it will be referred as plant morphology. So here we are supposed to discuss the external characteristic feature or the external appearance. What type of structures we can see by our eyes onto these organisms. And anatomy, again it is a branch of biology that deals with the study of internal structures, okay, and its uses. So that we are going to discuss in the anatomy. Now here we are going to start with the morphology, okay, morphology of earthworm. Morphology of earthworm. Now when we talk of the morphology of earthworm, right, see, we have two different species. There are two species of earthworm in India, or which are studied under in India, okay, and which are those? That is the Pheritema species, and second one is the Lumbricus species. Okay, so Pheritema species and Lumbricus species, they are the Indian earthworm, okay, they are the Indian earthworms, okay. Now when we look after the earthworm, the body of the earthworm, it is cylindrical and it consists of the many different types of segment, or it is segmented body, okay, which can be called as the metameric segmentations, okay. So we will write here, they show metameric segmentation. They show metameric segmentation, okay. Now the metamers or the segments, or each segment is called metamers, okay. Now this segment, okay, may vary from 100 to 120, okay, 100 to 120 in number, okay. So there will be presence of the 100 to 120 number of segments into a earthworm or on the body of the earthworm, okay. The next, they are triploblastic. Now what is meant by triploblastic? We have studied about it in kingdom Animalia. See, triploblastic means they consist of three germinal layers. That is they are made up of three germinal layers: ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. That is the triploblastic nature. That the next, they are coelomates. That means they have the true body cavity. Coelomate means that is the body cavity. They have the true body cavity. The organisms which are having true body cavity are called coelomates. The organisms which do not have the body cavity are called acoelomate, and the organisms which are having the false type of body cavity are called pseudocoelomates. Okay, so these are the coelomates. The next, now here when we look after the earthworm from the dorsal view, okay, so the dorsal view, as we are talking of the external features, okay, or the morphology. Morphology means study of external features. So when we look after the earthworm from the dorsal view, okay, their body is cylindrical. Their body is cylindrical and have many segments. Okay, now like this. This will be the 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, so here we are going to draw the 19 segments so what that we can understand it. Okay, you can again draw many more like 20, 21 like that. Okay, so here, because when we talk of the some morphological features, those morphological features are well understood under these segments only. So first, this is the second segment, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 like this. Okay, so here are the 19 different or 20 different segments. Now here of this first segment, which is acting as a mouth, okay, this structure is acting as a mouth, okay, and the mouth or the upper part of the mouth is referred as the peristomium. Peristomium, okay, and this peristomium has a flap like structure which is generally used for digging purpose. This is a flap like structure over here. It is used for digging purpose, and this is a kind of sensory organ, okay, that is called as the prostomium. Prostomium, okay, you can write sensory organ, okay, and as this sensory organ is there, when they move, okay, when these organisms move, at that time they can sense very rapidly, okay, due to this sensory organ that is called prostomium. Okay, then from okay, and these structures they are called the metamers, okay, and dorsally in dorsal midventral, okay, dorsal and middle, okay, dorsal and middle part consists of the mid dorsal line, okay, there is a presence of mid dorsal line, and from the segment number 14, okay, from the segment number 14, then 14, 15, 16, there will be presence of, see here, this layer will be consisting of a cover, okay, a cocoon shaped cover will be there, which is referred as the clitellum, okay, this part is called the clitellum. Okay, this part is called clitellum. Now apart from this clitellum part, this region, okay, before the clitellum is referred as the preclitellar region, then clitellar region, and next to that is the postclitellar region. Okay, now here this particular segments or the parts are referred as the metamers. Okay, then apart from these parts we also have a single, okay, or there will be presence of the dorsal pores, okay, which are seen on the 17th and 19th segment. Okay, that is the dorsal pores. Okay, the body is externally also consisting of the dorsal pores. Okay, and yes, and this line which divides two different metamers is called the septa. Okay, now these dorsal pores, what they are releasing, or they release chemicals. Okay, when such organisms they are getting irritated, okay, when they are getting irritated, at that time they release certain chemicals or certain kind of secretions outside their body. Okay, so this is about the dorsal view. Okay, dorsal means, you know, dorsal particular part, that is called dorsal view, पीठ के side वाला part. Okay, now this part is called clitellum. We will discuss about its function in detail when we will discuss about the reproduction in case of earthworm. Okay, now next let's see the ventral view. Okay, so I'll rub this part so that we can understand it very finely. Okay, so that is, next is the ventral view. Okay, now in ventral view again we will draw the same structure. Okay, again we will draw the same structure. Again the body is cylindrical. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, then 19. Okay, so here, and again you can add some more, 20, 21, like this, so on. Okay, so first, then second segment, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Again there will be few more, because see, as it is consisting of 100 to 120 metamers. Okay, so here when we look after the ventral view means the view which can be seen from the front side, okay, from the stomach part. So here again we can see the clitellum. Okay, so in the clitellum, is from the 14th, 15th and 16th segment. This part is covered by a cylindrical structure called clitellum. Okay, and on the ventral part of the clitellum, so clitellum is it is a cover like structure, but under this cover there is a ventral pore or a single pore on the 14th segment. Okay, and that single pore is referred as the female genital pore. Okay, and on the 18th segment there is a presence of two ventrolaterally, okay, or there is a presence of a pair of, okay, a pair of latroventral male genital pores, okay. So there will be presence of female genital pore and the two latroventral male genital pore on the 18th segment. Remember this segment because these are very important parts, okay. This type of pores can be asked in the NEET exam, okay. So direct questions can be asked. So on the 14th segment from the ventral side there is a presence of female genital pore, and as there is a presence of both the type of sexes within the same animal, they are supposed to be called as the hermaphrodite, but they prefer the cross type of fertilization. That how we'll discuss about it, okay. So here the next, on the 17th and 19th, on the 17th and 19th there is 19th segment there is a presence of copulatory papillae. There is a presence of copulatory papillae. Now what is the function of copulatory papillae? See, copulatory papillae, see, in case of earthworm also the reproduction takes place between two different earthworms, although they have both the gametes, but the production of the gamete, okay, it will be alternative, either the first female will develop or the male will develop, okay. So when male is developed, at that time, or the sperms when they are developed, they will go and fertilize with the eggs of the another earthworm, okay. At that time this earthworm, they are being together with the help of copulatory papillae, okay. So this is about the copulatory papillae. Apart from this, we can again give the name clitellum over here. Then apart from this, the dorsal part, okay, or the dorsal as well as the ventral part of the earthworm, it is covered by, okay, it is covered by small S-shaped structures, okay, and these S-shaped structures are called setae. These S-shaped structures are called setae, which are meant for locomotion, okay. So small hair-like structures or S-shaped structures are there called setae, help in the process of locomotion. They are present, okay, they are present throughout the body except the first and the last part, that is the anus part of the earthworm's body, okay. So first few segments it doesn't have the setae and last segment is don't have the setae, okay. Now here the movement, okay, so the movement I can write here as a point, okay, and the movement in case of the earthworm, it is regulated by two different types of muscles. So here the body is cylindrical, so the muscles are also cylindrical or circular muscles are there, and body it is elongated, so they also have the longitudinal muscles. So these longitudinal and circular muscles, they help in the movement of the earthworm, okay, or they show the locomotion. So this was about some of the morphological features. Now apart from that, from the lateral view, when we look after the body of the earthworm from the lateral view, okay, what we see, laterally body has 4 openings, okay, laterally body has 4 openings, and these 4 openings, they are present on the segment number 6, 7, 8 and 9, okay. Now what are these openings? These openings are called spermathecae. Let's see here, suppose these are the 4 segment, from the segment number 5, then here 6, 7, 8 and 9. So basically this is the 6, 7, 8, 9. These are the segments. But what happens over these segments? From the lateral part there will be presence of certain pores. Okay, and these pores are called spermatical pores. Okay, these are called spermatical pores. So we can write here spermatical or spermatica. Now here these spermatical pores, when we have to study these spermatical pores, this can be written as 5/6, 6/7, then 7/8, okay, 7/8 and 8/9. Now what is the meaning of this oblique? See, the meaning is that the spermaticae are the sac-like structures which are present on the, or which are attached to the septa. What is septa? That is the line which is dividing the metamers. Okay, this septa, and they are attached with the help of a pore. Okay, which is called spermatical pore, and these are called spermaticae. Now what is the function of spermaticae? The function of spermaticae is to store the sperms. Okay, so whenever sperms they are produced by the, what we say, male gamete that is present on the 18th segment. Okay, so this will be restored, or it will be stored into these pouch like structures called spermaticae, and are released with the help of the pores which are present on the interseptal or intermetameric line, that is the on the septa, that is the in between the 5th and 6th segment, then in between the 6th and 7th segment, okay, in between the 7th and 8th segment, and in between the 8th and 9th segment. So what it is written as 5/6, 6/7, 7/8, 8/9. See, most of the time the questions are asked on this spermaticae, the location, position of the spermaticae. If the position of spermaticae is asked, then you can answer in such a way. They are located on the interseptal wall between the 5th and the 6th segment. Okay, and spermatical pores, actually spermaticae are located in 6, 7, 8, 9, and spermatical pores they are located on 5/6, 6/7, 7/8 and 8/9. So students, this is about the morphological features of the earthworm. Few more points are there that I had to discuss. We'll discuss in the next part. Okay, I hope you have understood all this concept. If you have any kind of difficulty in understanding, okay, you can text me onto the WhatsApp. Okay, thank you.